I'm 70, and I spent most of my life chasing things that didn't truly matter. Not because I was careless, but because I believed I was doing the right thing. When you're young, you don't see time slipping. You think you have plenty of it. But one day the house gets quiet, the phone rings less, and the evenings feel longer. And that's when you realize how fast it all moved. I'm 72 years old now. I'm not a doctor, not a coach, just a man who lived a full life and is finally understanding it. I worked, raised a family, paid bills, showed up where I was expected. From the outside, everything looked normal, responsible, even successful. But inside, I missed things. Moments that never returned. And when you reach this age, memories become louder than plans. I used to think working non-stop was love. Providing was love. Sacrificing time was love. I stayed late at work, took extra shifts, missed school, events and family dinners because I believed I was building a better future for my family. Years later, my daughter once showed me a small drawing she made as a child. It said, "Dad works a lot. I miss him." I don't remember the day she drew it, but she remembered the feeling. That's when I understood. Children don't remember how hard you worked. They remember how often you were there. And when you spend years focused on responsibilities, something else quietly starts fading too. My wife and I lived in the same home, sat at the same table, shared the same routines. But we stopped talking about what was inside our hearts. Conversations became practical. Bills, groceries, schedules, not dreams, not fears, not feelings. One night she simply said, "We used to talk more." That sentence stayed with me longer than any argument ever could. Because distance doesn't always come from conflict. Sometimes it grows from silence. As time passed, I also ignored another voice. The one coming from my own body. There were signs. Tiredness that didn't go away. Back pain. Sleepless nights. But I kept saying, "I'll deal with it later." Later became years, and years slowly changed what my body could handle. Things that once felt easy started feeling heavy. Stairs felt longer. Energy didn't return the same way. When you're young, you think strength is permanent. But aging reminds you that what you ignore today can make tomorrow harder. While all this was happening, I was also chasing approval without realizing it. I wanted people to respect me, to see me as successful, dependable, important. I worked harder, bought things I didn't really need, tried to meet expectations that were never mine. And the strange thing is, many of those people I tried to impress aren't even part of my life anymore. It took decades to understand that self-worth doesn't come from being seen. It comes from being at peace with who you are when no one is watching. Peace, however, was something I kept postponing. I always believed I needed a little more before I could relax. More savings, more stability, more security. I kept telling myself, after this, I'll slow down. But life doesn't pause for your plans. It keeps moving while you prepare for a future that never arrives the way you imagined. And one day you look around and realize you already had enough years ago. You just didn't know how to feel it. That realization connects to something even deeper. I spent most of my life rushing, eating quickly, working quickly, talking quickly, always thinking about the next task, the next goal, the next problem to solve. I believed life was waiting somewhere ahead of me, like a destination I would eventually reach if I just kept pushing a little harder. But now, when I sit quietly on the porch sometimes, watching birds move across the sky and feeling the evening air settle around me, it hits me in a way I can't ignore. This was life all along. Not the rush, not the deadlines, just these small, quiet moments I used to overlook without even realizing their value. And once you begin to see that, you start noticing something else too. Fear played a bigger role in my life than I ever admitted. Fear of failing, fear of not being respected, fear of not providing enough for the people I loved. Those fears pushed me forward, made me work longer, made me worry more, made me keep running even when I was already exhausted. At the time, it felt responsible. It felt necessary. But fear doesn't build peace. It slowly steals it. And after 60, you begin to understand that peace matters more than proving anything to anyone. Because the truth is, most of the people we try to impress are fighting their own battles. They're not watching as closely as we think. They're not measuring our worth the way we imagine. And yet we spend years carrying pressure that was never really ours. It takes time to understand that your value isn't tied to how busy you are, how much you earn, or how many responsibilities you carry. Your value is already there, in your presence, in your kindness, in the way you show up for the people who matter. You start seeing things differently as you grow older. Presence becomes more valuable than productivity. A calm conversation feels richer than a busy day filled with noise. Sitting beside someone you love without saying much feels more meaningful than achieving something new. You realize that meaning was never hidden in big milestones or grand moments. It was always living quietly in ordinary days, in shared meals, in laughter that came without planning, in evenings when nothing special happened but everything felt complete. And when that realization settles in, life begins to slow down in a different way. Not because time changes, but because your attention changes. You notice the warmth of sunlight coming through the window. You notice the way your home sounds in the morning. You notice how comforting a simple routine can feel. These things were always there, but you were too busy moving forward to sit with them. Now my life moves slower. Mornings are quieter. I drink tea by the window and watch sunlight touch the garden. Sometimes I just sit and listen to the sounds outside. Birds, wind, distant voices, a car passing slowly. There's a softness in these moments that I never noticed before. It's not excitement. It's not achievement. It's something calmer, something deeper. And in these quiet spaces, I feel more present than I ever did in the busiest years of my life. And I don't regret my whole life. That's important to say. There were beautiful times, real, meaningful moments that still live inside me. Laughter at the dinner table, holding my child for the first time and feeling a kind of love I had never known before. Long drives with no destination, warm evenings when the world felt simple. Celebrations, ordinary mornings, even the struggles that brought us closer. Those memories still feel alive. They remind me that life wasn't empty. It was full. I just didn't always see it clearly while it was happening. But I do wish I had understood earlier that life wasn't waiting somewhere in the future. It wasn't hiding behind the next promotion, the next paycheck, the next milestone. It was happening in the days I rushed through. It was in conversations I cut short because I was tired. It was in walks I postponed because I had work to finish. It was in moments I labeled unimportant because they didn't seem productive. Time doesn't always leave loudly. Sometimes it slips away quietly while you're busy planning tomorrow. You don't hear it go. You don't feel it disappearing. One day just turns into another, and suddenly years have passed. You look around and the children are older. The house is quieter, your body moves a little slower, and you realize how much has changed while you were focused somewhere else. That realization can feel heavy at first. It can bring regret. It can bring sadness, but it can also bring clarity, because once you see it, you start living differently. You start calling people more often. You start listening without rushing. You start sitting in moments instead of running past them. You begin to understand that life isn't measured by how much you accomplish, but by how deeply you experience what's already here. And that's why I share this now. Not as advice, not as instruction, just as truth from someone who has walked a long road and finally stopped long enough to look back. I'm not trying to tell anyone what to do. Everyone's life is different. Everyone carries their own responsibilities and struggles. But maybe someone listening still has time to slow down a little, to sit with a loved one a few minutes longer, to say something they've been holding inside, to notice a moment instead of rushing past it. Because the truth is, the moments we think are small often become the ones we remember the most. A simple conversation, a shared laugh, a quiet evening. These are the pieces that stay with us when everything else fades. Not the stress, not the deadlines, just the human parts of life. And even now at this age, I'm still learning to be present, still learning to let go of unnecessary worry, still learning that peace doesn't come from controlling everything. It comes from accepting what is and appreciating it while it's here. It's never too late to notice life. It's never too late to sit down, breathe, and feel the moment you're in. Maybe that's the real lesson time gives us. Not perfection, not certainty, just perspective. The ability to see what truly mattered all along. And once you see it, you start protecting it. You start valuing the people, the time, the health, the calm, in a way you never did before. So if you're listening to this right now, maybe take a small pause today. Not a big change, not a major decision, just a pause. Look around. Notice where you are. Notice who is in your life. Notice what is already enough. Because these moments, simple as they seem, are the ones that quietly shape a life. Let me ask you something from the heart. What is one thing you wish you had done earlier in life? And which moment do you miss the most these days? I'd really like to hear your story, because every story holds a lesson someone else might need. And if these words felt close to your heart, you can gently like this video so it reaches someone who might need this reminder today. And if you enjoy quiet conversations about life, time, and the things we understand a little late, you're always welcome to stay and subscribe.